friends, it's Kelly. Thanks for being here. I'm sharing my baby girl banner as a guest designer for Scrap Diva Designs this month. I'm going to start by showing you the ribbon I made to hang the banner on using alcohol inks, one oxide ink, and then just plain seam binding. So I picked out 4 colors. And the mat you see under my ribbon is just a leftover mat from my silhouette cut files. So don't throw those away. They come in handy when you're doing mixed media. I'm just pouring a little bit of the inks onto my mat and dipping the ribbon in it very willy-nilly. You don't want to cover the whole ribbon. You just want it in spots so that you can add more colors as you go. I actually add water to the oxide ink, the pink ink, because it's quite a bit thicker, and this is how my ribbon turned out after a little rinse under the tap. And so I'm going to set that aside to dry, and I think it matches really well. So that's just one way you can customize a ribbon to match any project you're working on. Pull out those alcohol inks or oxide inks and color your own seam binding. So this is the die used to make the little dresses. It's pretty versatile. You can make cards, a mini album. There were 2 pieces of the die set I didn't use. One was for the bow and the bow center. And this is where you can shop and check out all the pretty things on Instagram at those addresses. The other die set that I used is the foam flower bundle, and I used them to make little flowers for the tags that hang in between my little girl dresses. Now the die has sections that are indented when you use it to cut, and that's where I'm going to do some sewing. I also sewed a piece of tulle that I placed inside the skirt, and I just did a little gather on my sewing machine using the longest stitch on my sewing machine, and then I taped it inside the backing for the little dress. I put a piece of double-sided sticky tape at the waist and then 2 on the sides. You don't want to put it right up to the sides because I want to put some glue on there later, and I'll just glue that in place. So I gathered up my skirt and tied a knot at either end of the basting string, and then just cut off the extra string at the end. If it was a true garment, you'd probably do some stay stitching over your basting, but I didn't do that. It's for a craft, and it should stay in place with the sticky tape. So the crinolines added some nice texture to the project and another layer, and you really could use any color. It doesn't have to match your papers, although I did do mine tone on tone. So if you want to introduce a little more color, just pick a different color of tulle that doesn't necessarily match your background. So once I had the tulle taped in place, I started adding a little shape to the dress, and I did that by gently bending up the sleeves and a little bit at the bottom, and worked it into a little bit of a curve. Not making any creases, just gently bending it. So I went ahead and added some glue. I used tacky glue in a fine line bottle, and I placed that glue around the collar and all over the bodice, and over where the belt would go, and then a little bit on either side of the dress, and place it on so it's even on all sides, and then I just held it in place till it dried. So this is where I used my pinking shears to trim off the crinoline, the crinoline, leaving just a little bit sticking out at the bottom of the dress. And I glued on the belt and the bow. I used the puffy stickers from the Garden Party collection in the center of the bow rather than the piece from the die cut set, just because I thought they were really cute and I could use a different one on each dress. So to finish my dresses, I added a little bit of gold paint. I just used the end of a paintbrush to apply it. I used some Nuvo drops around the collar, and I also used my gold stickles because I put that on pretty much every project that I've ever made. I just really like the way they add a little shine. Off camera, I added some gems in 3 different colors because, again, I'm addicted to sparkle. And then I let it all dry for a little bit before I punched holes in the shoulders to hang it on my ribbon. And I just used the smallest hole punch I have. I believe it's 1/8 of an inch. I added some Scotch tape to the end of my ribbon to turn it into a shoelace type of thing so I could easily string it through the holes in the shoulders of the dress. So I didn't want the ribbon to show at the neckline, so I left a little slack there so I could use a glue dot to tape it onto the back of the dress. So I just pulled it down out of the way and stuck it on a glue dot. And so you really only see my ribbon on the shoulders and at the end of the banner. Now I'm also all about beads lately, and I made a little tassel to hang over each flag in between the dresses, and I used the same colors that were in the garden party collection. So thanks very much for being here. Thanks so much, Erica at scrapdivadesign.com, for including me on the team this month as your guest designer, and for all the dies used in today's project. See you soon. Bye-bye.